Hey, good morning. Happy Thursday. It's Kimberly here, and welcome to Inspired Thoughts. Today, I am going to be talking about ease in action because it is one thing to talk about the importance of centering yourself, of having a daily spiritual practice, a daily presence practice to be able to find more ease in life, but it's another thing to actually really put that into practical use in a way that you can kind of show yourself it works. And I have, hi mama, yay. Um, I have a very personal story to share with you today. It is rated DG, DG in my mind instead of PG, parental guidance. DG is divine guidance suggested, because that is definitely what I found is the big component of finding ease in life, even among the contrast, even among the challenging moments. So I'm going to share a bit with you, and it is going to get a bit personal. And I don't actually know exactly what I'm going to share because I handed over the wheel the moment I sat down out here today. So yeah, so I'm going to back up a few weeks on February 14th on Valentine's Day because I am such a romantic. I went to have a mammogram done. My annual mammogram. I was supposed to get it done in December, but well, things happen. And hey, Jonathan, how are you? Oh my goodness, warm and sunny in Germany. Yay! About time. Woo. So so this story begins on Valentine's Day, and because I like to um, apparently have some kind of intimate experience on Valentine's Day, I went to have my breast squished. So I had my mammogram. I'm going to try really hard not to get too graphic, but it's just such a silly thing. Um, on the 18th, I received the results of that mammogram that there was an area of concern and needed a follow up. So they referred me over to the local breast care center, and I went back on the 25th, had to have a secondary mammogram done to confirm the area of concern, as I continue to refer to it as. And I was in the waiting room thinking I was going to be given my green light to get dressed and leave. And then they called me back again and they did an ultrasound in addition to the mammogram to further confirm the area of concern. And it was confirmed in that ultrasound on the spot. And they let me know you need to have a biopsy. And there was a solid mass. So it wasn't like a cyst or anything, but a solid mass. So they have to perform a biopsy where they send just a little bit larger needle in because it has to have a hole in it to be able to take out a sample. So I was informed on the 25th that the need for a biopsy was a definite. And I scheduled it for the following week. And then I canceled it, and then I rescheduled it, and then I canceled it, and then I rescheduled it. And I had just kicked off my Inspired Life Project coaching group. It's a group coaching I do for women. And we ran that over the course of the month of March. And they let me know that I was going to feel kind of punk for, a couple days. And there was just this desire with my coaching group, with this group of women I had the honor to be serving in that moment, to just make sure I was on my A game. I didn't want to go have this done, find out something that might throw me off or whatever the case may be. I'm I'm going to get through my coaching program and then I will get the biopsy done. So I ended up finding out I needed it done on February 25th, but I got it done on last Tuesday, April 9th. And let's talk about that for a moment. First of all, I want to let you know that all is well. And so that's the first thing. I should just lead with that. I found out 2 days later on the 11th that it was something called a fibroid adenoma tumor. It is completely benign. I do have to get a mammogram every 6 months now just to keep an eye on it and make sure it doesn't grow, but no cancer and all is well. And it's a huge blessing. But there's a very, very important reason I want to share this story. One is to talk about this biopsy procedure. First of all, I'm deathly afraid of needles. Like anyone will tell you, I've even loved the idea of having a tattoo. I even have the tattoo. Like, I have my tattoo mapped out in my brain. I've drawn it 100 times in my brain. I will never get said tattoo because I am that afraid of needles, like deathly afraid. Like, have to get blood drawn, have to get a shot. Like, I turn into a 5-year-old in 60 seconds or less. So the whole idea of a biopsy is just like, what? And then I said, well, how big's the needle? She's like, we'll use the smallest one we can. I'm like, oh. So of course I made the mistake of Googling it. Don't do that. Don't do that. If you have to get this done, this procedure done, and you're afraid of needles, do not Google what it looks like. So they start with a shot that numbs the area. And so I had a little bit of a there. And then of course they have to, like, I'm so sorry, but I'm just going to throw it out there. If anyone's been through this, please share with me, because this is just amazing that they're even able to do this. But so then they move the needle around, and that was like an additional twinge. I'm like, whoa. And he's like, oh, I'm just numbing deeper. And I'm like, okay. And so then I felt nothing, and all is well. And I was gripping the nurse's hand over my left shoulder for dear life. And she's asking me about my dogs, and I don't want to talk about my dogs right now, but I'm doing my best to keep it light. And the doctor had kind of lost his voice. He had laryngitis, so I kept asking him to sing me a song. And then what's up with the hole punch thing? Like, there's this loud clicking noise. And I'm thinking, did they actually insert a hole punch to take out the piece of this mass to be able to test it? Like, we're in 2019. I want us to come up with a new tool for a biopsy that doesn't have this loud clicking noise, because it's loud, and it's kind of abrasive, and you jump. And then the doctor says, don't jump. And then he does it again, and you jump. And he said, how about let's do it a third time? Third time's a charm. And this time, don't jump. I'm like, but it's crazy. So anyway, hello, Birdie. So I had this procedure done, and I was so fearful of the needle, but all is well. And as always, it's never as bad as we make it out to be in our minds. And for me, needles are never about the pain. Everyone's like, oh, it doesn't hurt. And I'm like, it's not about the pain. It is about the idea of metal piercing your flesh. Like, that should not happen. And so anyway, it's an interesting procedure for someone who has such a phobia as I do, but I clearly survived. And and people were asking, how do you feel the next day? A small handful of people in my family knew I was getting it done. And then my close friend who took me to be my morals, my support, they're asking how I was feeling. I'm like, well, I kind of feel like I got punched in the left boob with a needle, like a really big needle, but otherwise I'm good. And everything healed fine. It's been, just over a week now, and there's just a small bit of bruising left, and all is well. And I got great news. And anyway, the other thing I want to talk about is why I'm even sharing this. Because the couple of people, close to me that were aware of this happening, seemed to be much more concerned about it than I was. And they were very concerned about me, the fact that I rescheduled it a couple times, like, you really need to go get this done. You need to, find out what's going on. And there seemed to be a sense of anxiety and urgency in those around me that I appreciate so much. And yet, when I put my practice into practice of turning within, I just felt a sense of ease. I just truly felt a sense of everything's going to be okay. In fact, I spoke to my good friend Thursday morning, the 11th, the morning it was the day I was finding out the result and getting the incision checked and everything. And the question was, well, how are you doing? How are you holding up? And I'm like, I'm okay. I figured one of two scenarios is going to happen. Either everything's going to be all right, or everything's going to be all right. In my mind, with God at my back, those are the only two options. Everything's going to be all right, or everything's going to be all right, regardless of how it unfolds. And I think there are two reasons. Probably I had that sense of ease, and I was able to put it into action in this moment, and really not lose sleep over this. Now, don't get me wrong, Monday night I lost sleep over that dang needle coming my way. But as far as the result, I really just, gave it over to God. And I think it was a combination of this being a part of my belief system, my lifestyle, my mindset, whatever you want to call it. When you start to implement a new perspective in your life, it becomes part of your existence. And I truly believe staying connected, to that, God within, to our soul, to the divine guidance suggested, it changes everything. And no matter what it is you're up against, it's going to be what holds your hand through it. And I think the other reason I was able to find a sense of ease is that I'd been down a similar road once before. So in November of 2012, it was my first full checkup after having had my son Tyler in August, meaning like a full with the, the pap smear and all the fun stuff. They had done bunches of checks. I ended up having to have a C-section because he was breech. So they did a huge focus on that for a couple of months. There were some complications and such, but November was the first time I was going back in for a full-blown female, how are the insides doing? And this time it wasn't called an area of concern, it was called abnormal tissue. And so in my cervix they found abnormal tissue. And that's a whole nother story of, having to get that kind of tested and stuff, but it got tested, and it was unfortunately something that needed further attention. And once again, such a blessing, just as I had a blessing this past week, such a blessing. Back then in 2012, I ended up having the pap smear done in November. I found out the first week of December that I needed to have a surgery. And so it was right around the holidays. And I'll never forget the OBGYN saying, it's not that you have to have this done tomorrow. So enjoy the holidays. But what I'm telling you is don't wait 6 months because you'll regret it. So the surgery is called a LEAP surgery. So I had to have that scheduled pretty soon. I did that in January. And they go in and they had to remove part of the cervix to remove the cancerous cells. What a blessing. What a blessing that it was caught so early on that they were able, through, the magic of modern day science and medicine, they were able to just go in and I know it sounds kind of morbid, but they were able to go in and cut it out. What one could call the downside is that in removing part of my cervix, I was then told that I couldn't have any more kids. And I will be completely honest with you that I struggle with that a little bit. But because I always kind of saw myself having two, but I did get started pretty late. So, hey, my bad. And the fact of the matter is I had actually tried sooner. I'd tried earlier and was told for 1.5 years that I couldn't even have children. So look at my scenario here. I can either focus on the fact that I've just been told I can't have more because I don't have the whole cervix to hold the weight of a pregnancy, or I can focus on the fact that I was once told I wouldn't have children, and I have this beautiful little boy who is the greatest gift I'll ever have in this life. So it just brings me back to the fact that in any moment, in any situation, any circumstances, any scenario we ever find ourselves in, we always have the option. Because in any scenario you're in, you can look around and find something to be sad about, to complain about, to be frustrated or angry about. Or in that same scenario, you can always either look around or look within to find something to appreciate. And so I think that because, I'd kind of been down this road before where they found a problem, and in this scenario, it was even something that needed further attention, but they were able to to fix it. I knew in this scenario, I'm like, you know what? Either it's going to come back benign and everything's going to be okay, or it's going to come back that something else needs to be done, but I still know everything is going to be okay. And I want to tell you, for any of you out there who are, one, dealing with anything from a health perspective that is challenging you, my invitation to you is to do two things. One, use your divine guidance, have some trust and faith and hand it over to God. And two, still keep your eyes on what you have to appreciate. Still keep your focus on what you have to appreciate, because you're going to stand a heck of a lot better chance of moving through whatever you need to move through with grace if you focus on what you have to appreciate versus if you focus on what you have to be sad, angry, or frustrated about. That positive energy goes a long way, because that's in alignment with who you really are. And when you're in alignment with who you really are, you're much, much more powerful, because you're tapping into a resource that has no end. And the other message I have is for those of you that maybe haven't. I've spoken to a couple of girlfriends now who are in their mid to late 40s who have never even had a mammogram. And so I'm telling you, sisters, you don't think that if I don't know, then it can't hurt me. You need to get to the bottom of anything that may be creating contrast within your body. And the fact that in this modern day, and I have full belief that the human body, with God's help, has the ability to heal itself. I mean, that's just been proven so many times. It can't be picked apart. But I do believe in this day and time where we have the ability to tap into what's going on and to really be proactive and preventative. Why wouldn't we? And my one friend that I spoke to this week, she's like, I haven't done a mammogram because I don't want to know. And I thought to myself, well, the last thing you want is to know too late. And so if you have the ability to get those preventative screenings done, I could not encourage it enough. I know tons of stories of people who are alive today because they got the screenings done, found a problem at an early stage, and were able to do something about it. And then, of course, we all know stories of people who haven't been blessed with that scenario. So, yeah, that's definitely an important thing to keep on the forefront of your mind. If it's been a while, or if you've never had certain screenings done that are due, go ahead and just knock that out. Just get it done. Just do it. So that's it's kind of what I had to share with you today. I just was hoping that if I shared this, that I'd be able to show an example of how you can find a sense of ease and appreciation, even when in life you have to move through contrast. In January 2013, when I had that surgery, it was a bummer. I had to move through some contrast, but with divine guidance, I moved through the contrast and was able to quickly get back to celebrating my life and celebrating this little boy who is still a baby, just at that point, a few months old, 6 months old. And I think that's really important, because the last thing we want is to have time go by caught up in contrast to the point that we're not focused on and enjoying the present. And then time goes by and we look back and see the time we lost. I mean, gosh, that's the last thing we want. And so when I had my recent scenario where I had to face the needle, for those 2 days, was I worried? I'm not a robot. I definitely had the what if thoughts. The what if, like, what if it does? What if Thursday I find out that it's not benign? What if I find out that, you know, there's a problem, that it needs additional focus or procedures or treatment? What if? You know, what does that mean for Tyler? What does that look like for Tyler? What does that look like for me and in my business that I'm growing, and my life that I'm enjoying? So yeah, did I have some thoughts that went down that path? For sure. I'm a human, and we're all human, and should never judge ourselves for feeling the realness of what we're going through. But because I've put a few things into practice over the last several years, I amazed myself, quite honestly, at how quickly I was able to shift my perspective back, to shift my focus back to all is well. All is well. All is well. And I have so much to appreciate that I don't have enough fingers and toes to count my blessings. And so with whatever it is you may be facing, or life may be throwing your way, I promise you it is worthwhile to have a daily practice for yourself. Just have a presence practice, some kind of spiritual practice that allows you to connect with yourself deep within, because you are an extension of the divine, and that's why you have the ability to tap in to that divine guidance at any time. And it's not just divine guidance, it's divine love and divine support. It gives you a resource of strength that, you know, out here on the leading edge of humanhood, we wouldn't have otherwise. So that is my encouragement for you today, to really own the practice of your daily connection, whether that is through, you know, a gratitude practice, meditation, prayer, just quiet time, breath practice, whatever it is for you, just the opportunity to tune in to who you really are and connect. I'm telling you that it is just a lifesaver. It's something that will never steer you wrong, and will always be there to support you, and will continue to serve you all the days of your life with whatever contrast may come your way. And so now this is a couple of instances. Well, there's been more than a couple, but we don't have time to talk about additional today. But these are a couple of issues in the health realm of things, where, as I've said before, you know, even if something happens that could kind of knock me off balance a bit, or even knock me down, it's amazing how I'm now able to get back up so much faster. I'm able to rebalance so much faster. I'm able to get back up so much faster and get back to what's important. And what's important is this freaking life. What's important is this day, this moment, this breath. That's what's important. You have this one big, brilliant, beautiful life to live, that we know for sure. And to waste even a moment of it is a shame. And we all will, because we all will have those moments where we'll turn to doubt or fear or sadness. But what I've trained myself to do, and now what I focus on training others to do and supporting them to do, is being able to shift back quickly, being able to bring your focus back quickly, because it really is all about focus. Being able to keep on the forefront of your experience all that you have to appreciate, because that's what it's about. It's about appreciating this life in this moment, and come what may, you can rock me, you can knock me down, but I'm going to come back to center. I'm going to get back up, and I'm going to bring my focus back to the beauty and the love that this life has to offer. So that's what I want for you too. And that's why I shared this story, so that I could not just talk about it from a high level perspective, but to show you how it's helped me over the recent years. So with that, I'm going to invite you. It's so good. I'm going to invite you to just, you know, share your thoughts in the comments. You know, I know many of you out there who have gone through similar circumstances, much, much more challenging circumstances by far. I'm going to check over the comments. Debbie shared, I've had that. I have the same fear. Not only have I had breast, so she said breast and 2 neck biopsy for thyroid. It is not enjoyable. The struggle is real, my friends, when it comes to the needle. Mark says, blessing coach. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Says my sister had ovarian cysts, and apparently it's not an anomaly. And nobody in our world speaks on it. Yeah, we got to talk more about this. We have to be more open. We really do. It's so interesting how hard it was for me to actually find what I was looking for about the biopsy when I went to Google it. And again, repeat, if you're afraid of needles and have to get something like this done, do not Google it, because eventually you will find it, and you don't want to see that. Mark, you're very sweet. He says, I'm proud to stand next to you in our field, knowing you share your journey. And yeah, he says, which is so hard. Much respect and love to you and the family. Thank you, Mark. Much love to you as well. Mwah, I appreciate that so much. And yeah, I guess it can be a bit challenging to share your journey, because there's always the fear that someone's going to judge you either for what you've been through, or for how you're handling it, or for what you have to say about it. But you know what? This is my truth. This is my truth. And, I think we're all here to speak our truth. And if that can help someone else, then hallelujah. Hallelujah. Amber said, your positivity has always inspired me. Oh, Amber, we've worked out together for years. Oh, I started your workouts during one of the worst times of my life. I not only lost 50 pounds, I gained self-confidence. Yay! Thank you. I'm so happy you're okay. Amber, thank you. And hooray. With the losing weight thing, I think it's just about being healthier. So I'm so happy to hear you're healthier, but more than anything, happy to hear that the self-confidence has come back. It is so huge, and is a huge part of us having an ability to enjoy our life experience. Kimberly, thank you. Kimberly Ann, thank you for the virtual hugs. Yep. Transparency right here. Right here. Yeah, there are definitely many bumps in the road, and for us to be able to in our life learn to navigate those bumps. And sometimes they're little bumps, and sometimes they're mountains, and sometimes they're trenches. But guess what? We can navigate all of them with grace. We really can. We really, really can. And Debbie shared again, she'd had a colonoscopy when 50-ish. Oh my goodness. Debbie, you are such an inspiration. You continue to hang in there, and Debbie's just sharing part of her story, that she's continuing to stay on top of things with screening and testing to make sure. So God bless you. Oh my goodness. So you have to check out the comments. Debbie's sharing her story. She did have the diagnosis of thyroid cancer, and she said, thankfully it's an easy cancer to have. I don't know if any cancer is an easy cancer to have, but God bless you for having that perspective. Her kids were 11 and 13. Their father had passed. Prayer was one of the things that got her through it. There you go. Gotta stay connected. Gotta stay connected. Christine said, I needed to hear this today. Living in the moment. Yes. Yes. And don't beat yourself up if you do get knocked down. Our goal is to try to live in this present moment, and not only live in it, but appreciate it, have love for it, have reverence for it. This moment, this breath in this moment is such a gift. But when we do get thrown off, because it happens to all of us, probably every day, multiple times a day, this is just about getting back up, getting back up, getting back up, getting back up. Because every time you get back to center, you get back to who you really are, you get back up when you've fallen or feel like you've been pushed down, you're stronger for those efforts. But not only that, you're more compassionate, you're more loving, more understanding, and all of those things are gifts. So don't beat yourself up if you do get thrown off a bit. It's okay. So, all right. Well, I've taken, I think, enough of your time today, but that's what I had to share. That was what I was inspired on my heart to share with you today. So continue to share in the comments any thoughts you have, or challenges you've been through. I think Mark said it perfectly. We need to talk about things like this more so that we can support each other through them, and either stay in this positive, inspired place, or get back to it as quickly as we can, so that we don't miss out on the gift of this present moment and this life that we get to live. So may you be insanely grateful for the moment you are living in right now. And even if it feels like I'm not sure what to be grateful for, step back, take a couple breaths, look around you, look at your family, your friends, look within you at everything you've come through to this point and the person that's made you. And you'll be able to find something to appreciate. So appreciate this moment and be excited for what's next, because life is good and it's unfolding for us. And we just don't want to miss any more moments than we have to, getting caught up in anything that could take us away from feeling the love and joy that we came here to feel. So with that, I am just sending you all so much love, and until our paths cross again, I'll continue to do so. I hope you have an absolutely beautiful, amazing day. Mwah! Take care.